Okay, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the Township of Wainfleet regular council meeting of December 3rd, 2024 to order. At this time, please stand for the national anthem. We would like to begin this meeting by acknowledging the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabes and the Haudenosaunee people, acknowledging the One Bowl and Spoon Treaty. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, okay, we're going to move right into presentations. I have one presentation tonight. The 2024 Mayor's Holiday Greeting Card Contest winner is Kaylin Laramie. This young lady has won the contest previously in 2020 and 2023, and I'm sure you can all see why. Thank you for your many beautiful contributions over the years, and I would like to call upon Kaylin to now come up to the front for a moment so we can properly recognize her efforts. There's no disappointing news. It's just nice. Okay, so please note that these meeting proceedings are being broadcast live, recorded, and made available through the Township website and youtube.com. Thank you once again for Len McEwen and Mary Jane Hall for putting up the stunning tree here in our council chambers. Council held special meetings on November 25th and November 27th to deliberate the budget and provide staff direction. Following these amendments, Council will consider the consolidated 2025 budget this evening. Our next regular meeting of Council is Tuesday, January 14th at 6:30 p.m. Are there any announcements or remarks from members of Council? Councilor Gilmore.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to make staff aware, I'll be away on the next meeting in January.
Okay, any other comments from any other councilors? Councilor Anderson.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Brian, were you going to bring up the NPCA request?
No, I wasn't going to bring it up only because it's not on the agenda right now, so it is something that I will talk to staff about, and we can go from there.
Okay, I I'm just not sure whether it's timely for them or not. Like, I don't know that.
Yeah, so I'll speak to it right now. So I received a phone call this evening from Donna Cridlin as a member of the Niagara Peninsula Conservation Foundation. They have reached out to all municipalities and they are looking for a donation for a silent auction that they're going to be having. So they're actually requesting us to see if we would voluntarily give up an hour of ice time for the arena as a council decision. So it would have to be either council would go for it, or I've personally said that if it wasn't we didn't have enough time to make the decision, I'll just cover the cost of it myself. CAO? Yeah.
So through the mayor to all of council, if it's council's wish to give an in-kind donation of the ice rental, then council does have some budget lines for that, so you could make a motion. And we could, is it going to be in this calendar year or? Okay, so the easiest way then might be to just issue them a grant in the amount of 1 hour ice rental and have them work with Daryl in terms of ice availability, because that might be a larger challenge.
Okay, so at this time, I will make a motion that we give an in-kind gift for the NPCF silent auction. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Van Fleet, any discussion? Go ahead.
Is it a foundation or is it a?
It is. It's the Niagara
It's
Peninsula
separate from the NPCA?
Separate from the NPCA.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. They still help fund the NPCA, so. Any other discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Thank you, everyone. Okay, we are going to move to the adoption of previous council minutes. Are there any comments, corrections for the draft minutes listed on the agenda this evening? Seeing none? Okay, I have a motion that the minutes of the regular meeting of council held November 12th, 2024, and the special meetings of council held November 25th and November 27th be adopted as circulated. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Councilor Gilmore, Councilor McClellan, any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, we have no public meetings this evening, and we also have no delegations. We don't have anything on the consent agenda this evening, so we'll move right into the staff reports. So we are going to go to ASR 17-2024, respecting the 2025 Consolidated Budget Report. Mr. Hart, could you please provide a brief overview of your report?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you. So the report in front of you and the appendix represent the final operating and capital budgets after our deliberations and presentations on the 25th and 27th. I have before you the two changes that were requested by motion for the removal of Project BM3 from the capital budget, as well as increasing the $2,000 to seniors through reducing the transfer to the election reserve. So, yeah, we have the budget here for your approval.
Thank you. So I have a motion that ASR 17-2024 2025 Consolidated Budget Report be received, and that the 2025 operating levy budget as outlined in Appendix A with a net levy budget of $6,752,349 be approved, and that the 2025 infrastructure levy budget as outlined in Appendix A with a levy budget of $1,621,985 be approved, and that the 2025 capital levy budget as outlined in Appendix A with a levy budget of $1,300,845 be approved, and that the 2025 capital budget as outlined in Appendix B with a total capital commitment and recommended funding of $5,183,050 be approved, and that the 2025 consolidated budget with an overall levy increase of 5.66, net of assessment growth of 1.33% be approved. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Councilor McClellan? Councilor Anderson? Any discussion? Councilor Gilmore, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Just in light of removing the BM3 storage and the fact that the deferral that we were going to talk about tonight isn't on the agenda, Where is all that settling out now? We deferred the decision about the storage containers till to tonight, but it didn't make the runway. So I'm just wondering, is that going to wait till January, or where are we at with that?
So through the mayor to Councillor Gilmore, yeah, the turnaround time was a little bit tight in order for us to get the information and prepare a report for this council meeting. So we have been in contact with the Wainfleet Agricultural Society, and we're going to work with them and staff, because we didn't want to bring something back before this was officially approved because of the parking lot complication, and there's some other factors that would implicate that decision or the staff's recommendation. So that will come back in the new year.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, I will call the question. All in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, moving on to ASR 18-2024, respecting the Energy Conservation and Demand Management Plan, 2024 through 2029. Mr. Hart, could you please provide a brief overview of your memo?
Thank you. Here we have our Energy Conservation and Demand Management Plan for 2024 to 2029, as legislatively required. The plan outlines our historical energy use and our greenhouse gas emissions, as well as our future goals and proposed action plan. So, any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. So I have a motion that ASR 18-2024, Energy Conservation and Demand Management Plan 2024 through 2029 be received, and that council endorse the Township of Wainfleet Energy Conservation and Demand Management Plan. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Councilor Van Fleet, Councilor McClellan, any discussion? Councilor Anderson, go ahead.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. So I'm just wondering, Cameron, does this marry into our asset management plan? Does that flow into that, or are these separate issues?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, I'm sure there is some overlap, but it's not necessarily, like an asset management plan is how we plan to replace our assets and what assets we have, whereas this is overviewing how much energy we use and how much greenhouse gas emissions and trying to reduce that. Now, some of the projects that we do look at when we're reducing greenhouse gas emissions could include capital projects that could be in an asset management plan, but it's not necessarily they're married.
So if I might continue through, Mayor, I'm just thinking that if you were replacing heating systems, would the option be then to look at heat pumps versus boiler type systems, or future solar positioning? Or I'm just wondering how those two may or may not get sort of married.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, we definitely assess those options, and I do believe that some of the recommendations include things like heat pumps, and we have considered those in the past and installed them in a few facilities to date.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, we're going to move on to the memorandum respecting the Integrity Commissioner Services. Ms. Christina, could you please provide a brief overview of your memo?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to all of council, staff received just this afternoon notification that our current Integrity Commissioner, Mr. Ted McDermott, is embarking on a well-deserved retirement effective the end of this calendar year. So both Mr. McDermott and staff recommend the appointment of Mr. Michael Maynard as the Integrity Commissioner for the Township for the remainder of our agreement with ADR Chambers, which is set to expire at the end of March 2026. Mr. Maynard comes highly recommended, and he is the Integrity Commissioner for several municipalities, including the City of Welland, the Town of Grimsby, as well as the region of Niagara. And given that council doesn't meet again until mid-January in the new year, and it would be very difficult to hold a special meeting before that time, we're seeking approval from council this evening to essentially make the necessary changes, enter into an amending agreement to have Mr. Maynard appointed as our new IC, and effectively replace Mr. McDermott effective January 1st, and all other terms and conditions in the original agreement would remain the same throughout the term of that agreement. So council support of the recommendation and the passage of the appointing bylaw that's also been added to the agenda would ensure that we have no gaps in coverage. So I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. So I have a motion that this memorandum be received and that council approves the appointment of Michael L. Maynard as the Integrity Commissioner for the Township of Wainfleet for the remainder of the existing term with ADR Chambers, and that the mayor and the clerk be authorized to execute an amending agreement replacing Edward T. McDermott with Michael L. Maynard effective January 1st, 2025 for the provision of Integrity Commissioner services for the term ending in 2026. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Councilor McClellan? Councilor Gilmore, any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, we're going to move into the review of correspondence. We have 2 items of correspondence on the agenda for the consideration this evening. Correspondence item C517 and C519, both respecting the redistribution of a portion of the land transfer tax and GST to municipalities for sustainable infrastructure funding. Councilor Anderson, you requested to pull these items. Do you wish to make a motion?
Yes, I'd like to make the motion that the correspondence C-24-517 from the Township of Russell and correspondence 24-519 from the Township of King, respecting a request to redistribute the provincial land transfer tax and goods and services tax to municipalities for sustainable infrastructure funding be received, and that we support my motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I get a seconder? Councilor Van Fleet, any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, we're going to move into bylaws. Bylaw number 47, 2024, being a bylaw to appoint an integrity commissioner for the Township of Wainfleet. I have a motion that the bylaw number 47, 2024, being a bylaw to appoint an integrity commissioner for the Township of Wainfleet, be read and passed this 3rd day of December, 2024. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Councilor McClellan, Councilor Gilmore, any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Are there any notices of motion this evening? Seeing none, okay. I have a motion then that council now move into closed session to discuss item under section 239-2B of the Municipal Act 2001, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, 1 item, an agreement matter. Also minutes of the closed meetings of council held November 12th, 2024. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Councilor Gilmore, Councilor McClellan, any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call a question. All in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. We'll move into closed.